if you have that confidence in yourself and what you can accomplish, I mean, dude, the world's up for grabs, you know? But it's unfortunate because most people, including myself, and I think probably everybody, you know, we grow out of these childlike ways where we think we can do anything. We could be an astronaut, we could be a millionaire, we could own our own jet, whatever it is. But people tell you, oh, that's not realistic. Have realistic goals. You can't do that, you know? And so what I think boxing really did for me is it really made me realize, well, I can do anything.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Legends Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Scott, and today I have a very good personal friend of mine in studio. This is Travis Jones. Welcome, Travis.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Excited?
I am. This is getting to sit and talk boxing with a good friend, mentor, coach of mine. That's awesome.
Thank you. We're not going to talk just about boxing, though. We're going to talk quite a bit about a lot of stuff because really as I go back and I listen to our podcast episodes and, you know, kind of see the direction that we're going, right? Like I want there to be a rhyme and reason to what it is that we're doing. And just like Legends, you know, Legends in general, there's a rhyme and reason of why we do what we do, right? We have our core values and we adhere to every one of those. And one of the reasons I'm super excited about having you on is your journey has been a long one. And you and I started pretty close to around the same time.
Yeah,
we've known each other for a very long time. And so you've had a couple of different lenses that you're able to look through when it comes to the boxing community or just growth. You've been on two spectrums of the nation to know what boxing's like at gyms and those kinds of things. And then now you have the comparison of what it's like to come into a Legends gym and to do that. So it's going to be interesting. And I think that there's a lot of listeners that can relate to where you're at. And, but also our direction in our podcast that I've noticed that we're going is Legends is a boxing gym filled with everyday people that have everyday lives, that have everyday jobs, that have everyday things that they're experts at. And so we get to learn a lot on this podcast. We get to learn about people, learn about industries, learn about different careers and things that people are doing. So I know you're in solar sales, and so I'm interested to hear more about solar. I know it's a booming market. It's coming up all across the nation. And so I'm interested to kind of hear a little bit about that. So some of the questions I'm going to ask you today are going to be about that. But first, before we get started, take a few minutes and kind of introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them a little bit about you, where your background is, where you're from, you know, stuff like that.
Well, thank you. So my name is Travis Jones, obviously, and I was born in Southern California, grew up in Salt Lake till I was about 18, and then kind of moved around. Played small-time college football in Southern California at California Lutheran University, and then ended up transferring to Dixie State, which is now Utah Tech, and got hurt playing spring ball. And came up to make a tackle. I was playing corner. Came up to make a tackle. My foot got caught in a turf, and I didn't rupture my Achilles completely, but like a few strands, like it was pretty bad. Come July, I still couldn't sprint. And one of my buddies was like, you should hit a boxing gym and start, you know, getting in shape. You at least keep your cardio up in a boxing gym if you can't sprint. So I started, that's where I found Damian Bressler Boxing, and walked in and he's like, hey man, you know, Damian said you should really try and take this up, pursue it, see if you can get a fight or two. And I'm like, I would love that. And so after training with Damian for a couple months, you know, got in the ring, and you know, the rest is history. So
now, was this at Damian's original location in Sandy off 7th East?
And like Segalily? Was it Segalily? Yeah, but 7th East.
It's like somewhere right in that Sandy area. For those who are not from Utah, again, we're talking Utah cities, and this is just another area of the Salt Lake County area. But that's, if you've been following the podcast episode, then you've heard us talk about Damian Bressler. And he was the original coach Rob. I'm sure that's where you met Rob for the first time.
Funny story with Rob. So I hadn't ever really boxed, right? And, you know, I was probably a $175, pretty solid from playing football my entire life. And I'll never forget, I sparred, I think it was Moon who I sparred. And, you know, man, Moon's a small guy. He was, you know, 5'5" probably. And I was pretty built and stuff. Like, oh man, you know, I can hold my own. And Moon put hands all over me, man. I was like, oh, boxing's not about being big and strong, you know? And then I sparred Rob, and Rob, oh my gosh, man, Rob broke my nose. He caught me with an uppercut, and then I walked right. It made me mad. So I like started to, kind of bull rush him, caught me with another uppercut, same exact one. I'm like, wow, I have a lot to learn. and this is so funny, man. Hope this isn't too much information on a podcast, but I was at home later that night. Damien told me, don't blow your nose. If you blow your nose isn't broken yet, but if you blow it, it's going to break. And I was like, okay, I won't blow my nose. So I'm at home and I'm going to the bathroom. I push to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear a pop. And all of a sudden I can't see out of my left eye. I'm like, what is happening? I'm on the toilet. So I, do my thing, get off and look in the mirror, and my eye is completely swollen shut because I broke my nose, my upper nose. So that's my story with Rob when I first started boxing.
Oh yeah, that's number one rule. Don't blow your nose. You're going to blow all that blood into the sinus cavities underneath your eyeballs.
Yes.
And so that's actually a hilarious story that you're pushing a shit out and it snaps your nose even more. That was great. Like
literally what happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, being on the toilet, I couldn't see out of my left eye, so I didn't know what happened because I wasn't in a mirror. So I was like, did I just go blind in my left eye? Like I was freaking out. Then I got up and it was swollen shut. I'm like, oh, okay. Cut me, Rock.
Oh, that's why I can't say, cut me, Mick.
Mick, not Rock. Cut me, Mick. Exactly. That was, So that's my story with Rob. Yeah.
So that had to have been a long time ago. I mean, that had to have been like 2008, 2009?
No, it was, may have been 2009 or 2010. Yeah. Yeah, because I was 19. Yeah, and I had just finished my freshman year of college. And no, I just finished my sophomore year of college, I think. Yeah, I finished my sophomore year of college. So yeah, I think I was probably 19 or 20. Yeah, and I'm 33 now. So yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine, because like my first experience with Bressler's boxing was at that original location. Mm-hmm. And it was for one of Rob's very first fights. Like he had been training. He was probably in the best shape I'd ever seen him in. And I had recently just moved to Utah, and so I was coming to watch that fight for him. And that was my first time actually being in a real boxing gym, being around being around competitive boxing.
Right.
And if I remember the story correctly, Rob weighs in, his opponent weighs in, and then his opponent never showed back up.
Really?
Yeah, it just didn't show up. Must have taken a look at Rob and like, yeah, all right, I'm cool.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
That happened one time. I've had that happen one time where I was weighing in and then I saw my opponent weigh in and like kind of made eye contact, and then the opponent didn't show up to the fight. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was just putting off an unfriendly vibe or what it was.
So you were about ready to get into a boxing match.
That is true. So I don't know what happened, but that did happen once. I guess what is that considered, a walkover W? I don't know.
No, it's actually no contest.
No contest?
Nothing. Yeah, it doesn't go in anybody's book. It's just a no contest.
Yeah.
It's the bell. The referee is the one who determines the bout, right?
Makes sense.
So if the referee hasn't determined or rose in a hand at the end of the fight, there's no contest to it.
Makes sense.
But I mean, it's amateur. It happens.
Yeah,
Things happen.
true.
There's no contract. There's no contract to keep you there, and there's no money being made when you win.
It is such an interesting sport, isn't it? Boxing is it's the most fascinating sport on the planet. Like I love college football. I love watching the NBA. I love all sports, but boxing to me is the most fascinating, hands down.
I agree with you. I was talking to another buddy of mine where boxing, it's not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing, right? Like
100%.
Learning how to box is 100% physical. Mm-hmm. But once you've learned how to box and now you're in the ring with another boxer, now it's 100% mental.
Right.
And so the only other sport that I have ever done, and I don't even know if you can call it a sport, the only other game that I do consistently is golf. And that, in comparison, is just as mental to me.
For sure.
And in some aspects, to me, it's even more mental, trying to keep yourself into it. Like, mm-hmm. and people who are listening who are avid golfers who golf all the time, you know what I'm talking about. It's keeping your mind into the game. It's keeping your mind into every single shot. It's focusing directly on golf, which It's the same for boxing, right? Like,
very true.
I can't be in a boxing ring thinking about the laundry that I have to switch in my dryer and put it in my washing machine. Like, I can't do that. I've got to be thinking about boxing right here. What's going to be happening to me right then?
Well, not only that with boxing, it's every, like, you have to be so mindful every second after that bell rings, because I mean it is literally a split second and you're on your back, right? And that's kind of the same thing with golf. When you're swinging a golf club, you've got you got to be so locked in. And that same thing with boxing. That's what I think it really does separate, I think, the most elite in the world compared to everyone else, is their attention to detail for 45 straight minutes when they're going a 12-round fight. You know what I mean? Like, well, I guess it'd be 36 straight minutes, but even when they're in the corner in between those rounds. But their attention to detail for 36 straight minutes, watching some of the greats, a Canelo or a Floyd Mayweather or whoever, it is just, I mean, your attention cannot drift for a second when you're in that ring, especially when you're competing against someone who is at that same caliber or close that you are. You know?
Now imagine back in the day before they stopped the 12 rounds and it used to be 15 rounds.
I know.
Can you imagine that?
No.
Like, just guys who have boxed before and knowing what it's like to go 3-minute rounds.
In an actual fight.
It's insane to think about going 3 15-minute rounds. And even today, it's insane to think about going 3 12-minute rounds. And to have to, like, the other thing about it is that, like, now that you guys are listening to this, and the next time you go watch a pro pay-per-view boxing match, I hope you're mind blown after the fact that after these guys have boxed 12 3-minute rounds, they can have a conversation with the guy who's interviewing them after the fight. Yeah. Like, they're able to sit there and have a conversation. They're not being rushed off into an emergency room,
seriously,
trying to get oxygen back into their body and all this other kinds of stuff. It's crazy the kind of physical shape and mental shape that you have to be in to just box in general. It's crazy.
Well, and the, mental toughness, man. People who have never been in the boxing ring, like when you're watching a pro fight, first off, they're using 8-ounce and 10-ounce gloves, not 16s or 12s. On top of that, there's no headgear, obviously, which I think they should do away with headgear completely, but I'll get into that in a minute. But when you watch these guys and they, like, take a hit and go down, it's like, oh, just get up. Like, why can't he get up? Like, people don't understand unless you've been in that situation where you've been knocked down, why they can't get up. Not only are they exhausted, they may need oxygen, but at the same time, I mean, they've been getting hit with, those boxing gloves, they kind of look soft and fun. They feel like rocks. You know what I mean?
But by a guy who's been professionally trained to properly throw these punches.
Yes.
Getting hit is one thing. But getting hit by a properly trained person, that's a completely different thing.
Over and over for 9, 12, 36 minutes. Exactly.
So it is, the mental fortitude you have to go through, the toughness that you have to have, the grit, the determination, the what we call in the boxing industry heart.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that, boxing can teach you. It can teach you that kinds of stuff. And I have, over the years, like, I've heard a lot of boxing coaches, well, you can't teach heart. And I don't know about that. Like I have seen it over the 13 years that I've been doing this. I've seen people that have literally changed their personalities. Their personality has changed from a timid, shy, I could never do anything like this type of person to I can conquer the world. Because of the things that I'm able to do inside of a gym, a boxing gym, not even a ring, not just getting into a ring, but just what it takes to go through the conditioning, the mental process of being able to do the movement correctly, all of these things, they build such a mass amount of confidence in somebody on a daily basis. 100%. When you come in every single day, you're doing something that you weren't able to do the day before. So it's going to just completely build confidence in you. And that carries over to everything else that we do in life. So I bet you've got probably 100 stories that you talk about with that, like how that changed. So going from football, ankle injury, now you're boxing. Okay. What kind of just mental change did that put through into your direction in life and where you were seeing yourself going there?
Well, like with boxing, I was a much better boxer. I am a much better boxer than I was football player. Like, for sure. I've competed on regional levels, in Golden Glove tournaments and done well. And so I feel like I definitely am a better boxer than I was football player. With that said, too, one thing I like about boxing is the intimate relationship you build with your trainer, right? In football, you got 22 starters and let's call it 100 on a team. I mean, you can get lost in the mix pretty quickly unless you're straight balling, right? Where with boxing, it's like, dude, like trainers realize like, hey, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be this LeBron James looking athlete in order to be a good boxer. You have to have that heart or learn to develop that heart. And so I feel like every trainer I had, they believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I've never had that from a coach or a trainer, So when I first started training with Damien, he believed in me so much. Like, he'd always use Sergio Martinez as a role model, if you would, or example. He'd say, hey, he started boxing at 22, won a world title. Like, there's no limit what you can do. And I was like, wow, man, you know what I mean? Just saying that confidence alone, like, oh my goodness, you really think I could do that? And he's like, yeah, you put your heart and mind into it, you really could. And then when Damien passed me off, he moved and passed me off to Larry Goodman. And then I think Larry's believed in me. It's a toss-up between him and Damien, but he believed in me more than anyone else probably ever has. And when he developed that confidence in me, man, I think that's why I, fought so well with him, is because he literally believed I could beat anybody. He believed I could win a world title, like he really did. And it's wild kind of having a coach like that in your corner and seeing what it does for just yourself and starting to believe in your own self. And then if you can carry that over in life, in business and relationships and everything else, and again, it's confidence, not arrogance, right? But if you have that confidence in yourself and what you can accomplish, I mean, dude, the world's up for grabs, but it's unfortunate because most people, including myself, and I think probably everybody, we grow out of these childlike ways where we think we can do anything. We could be an astronaut. We could be a millionaire. We could own our own jet, whatever it is. But people tell you, oh, that's not realistic. Have realistic goals. You can't do that, And so what I think boxing really did for me is it really made me realize, well, I can do anything. I stepped into the ring at 19 years old. I had dozens of bouts. I fought at the highest level you possibly could. I, made all the way to the Southeastern Regional Golden Gloves, was one fight away from going to Nationals, where I think shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I would have brought a better game, I could have made it. And so it's like when you look at, the confidence boxing gave me, now I really do, because of boxing, feel like I can do anything with business, with my marriage, with anything, right? And so I feel like, I don't know, I think it was definitely game-changing for me, life-changing for me.
They couldn't say it any better, and that's exactly what it does and what I see in so many people's lives every single day. And that's, one of the things, just boxing in general will do that. But one of the things that I love so much about the program that Legends provides is exactly what you're talking about, is that you are someone, the second you walk in the door, you can do anything and you can be taught all of it from our program and the way that we are. You feel like, I'm dating myself here, but as an old gentleman, I'm going back to an early 80s, mid 80s and early 90s TV show called Cheers. And that's my mentality when I first started coaching boxing, when I took over for Damien, and I started doing that. It was very much Damien's example of that. Damien was very open arms.
He was.
Let me teach you boxing. Come on, let me do it. I love this. This is my passion, to coach people. And you felt that. You felt that from him. And I learned so much about that environment from him and why I wanted that environment in my classes. And so providing that welcoming, that belonging, that let's come all together and work for boxing, that's kind of already the catalyst for changing lives, right? It's the catalyst for people going in and going, wow, okay, crap, this is pretty awesome. And look at the stuff that I'm able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So let's take a little kind of talk about, when did you move out of Utah? Because I remember you competed in Golden Gloves 2012 with me.
Yep.
Okay. And so that was that 2012 or 2013?
That was 2012, and I had and then I had one fight after. So I fought Danny Galloway in the Golden Gloves. Guy fought Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Won Thursday, won Friday, lost Saturday.
Oh, I remember that, dude. They had so many people in that weight class that they had to do a Thursday show, right?
And my name was drawn from the hat. So I had to fight 3 nights in a row.
Oh, man.
Which, luck would have it. But it was fun. Kid I fought, good dude. They were all awesome people. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I fought Galloway, and I'll never forget. It was a pretty close fight the entire way. And at the very bell, he caught me with the right hand, and that knocked me into like Tuesday. Like, seriously.
I actually think it was after the bell. I remember this. I remember sitting. I was helping Larry corner, and it was just like a millisecond after the bell.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, I do remember that.
And I don't think it was intentional to be after the bell. I mean, he was trying to help me up.
Yeah,
he was a good dude.
Shit happens.
And exactly. But I'll never forget, man, that night was so blurry. I had a stats final Monday because I was in college and studied all day Sunday. Flunked my stats final because I don't remember anything. And then Tuesday, I got up to go to the gym because I'm like, okay, I took Sunday, Monday off, time to get back after it. And I couldn't get out of bed because my nerves were all messed up. So when I lean up, it felt like I was stretching my hamstrings, like the most I've ever stretched them. And so I had to roll out of bed and I hobble for a week. And so I had one more fight after that, which I won. But I was kind of scared, man. It kind of scared me. And then, I graduated school that spring. And so I was like, man, I want to start making some money and focus on work. That's when I kind of took a hiatus from boxing. Did commercial insurance for a year. Didn't love it. And then I got introduced to the solar game, door-to-door sales from one of my buddies. And moved to California in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you hadn't gone to South Carolina or North Carolina?
South Carolina, both. But yeah, South Carolina mainly, yes.
Okay, but you'd gone to California first and then you went to, okay.
Yeah, so I lived in California for about 3 or 4 years, lived in Rancho Cucamonga, right outside LA, then moved to San Diego. And man, there were some good boxing gyms out there. I wish I would have kept boxing because there was a gym right in Ventura where I think Loma or some big names trained. One of my buddies who I went to college with, he's on a first name basis with Victor Ortiz. Wow. Yeah, he goes to the LA Fitness. He works out all the time. They work out together and stuff. And I wish I would have been more a part of that community in Southern California because I think that would have been a lot of fun. But at the same time, the solar cells world kind of changed my life too on a financial basis, which was cool. So that was really fun. And then long story short, moved to South Carolina in 2016, and I lied. Moved to North Carolina first. Another business venture didn't really work out. Ended up going to South Carolina, and that's where we did actually have a business do pretty well for itself. And that's where I actually started boxing again. I was missing something. I'm like, I need something, and I actually talked to Damien, picked his brain, and said, "Is there any good trainers out here?" And he goes, "There's one guy." That is, he's on James Island. Are you close to James Island? I'm like, I live on James Island. I Googled it and it was 2 minutes away, around the corner.
Oh, wow.
And Coach Michael Galamis, man, and Coach, I'm sorry if I get this stat wrong, but he had 214 amateur bouts and he was 202 in 12, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a beast. So that, training there in the South too, you got a lot of good fighters out there. I had one fight in South Carolina against a cat who had it was my first fight back after not boxing in 5 years. And the guy had 240 fights.
Damn.
Come to find out after the fight.
That's usually how it is. It's just turn your name in open. That's it. Just
exactly. I didn't want to do research on the guy because I didn't want to psych myself out. Thank goodness I didn't. I went the distance, but it was a unanimous decision. He did circles around me, which 240 bouts. And there was an article on him in the paper on him being South Carolina's best shot at the Olympics.
Wow.
Yeah. Kid could fight, to say the least.
You're kind of a stepping stone for him.
A little bit. I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Well, but at least, you knew how to do it. You know how to handle it. You went all the distance.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the Rocky story, right? The actual real story of Rocky was,
He lost that first
15
fight.
rounds, though. Yeah. First guy to go all 15 with Ali, That was an actual real story. You know that? You can research it. There's, if we weren't on a podcast, I'd be able to tell you the guy's name. But back when Muhammad Ali was going through all of the things he was going through with the country and dodging the draft and those kinds of things, and he had his pro card taken away, there was a fight that was sanctioned by the state that they were holding it in.
Okay.
And Chuck Wepner. There's his name. His name's Chuck Wepner.
Okay.
And this is the guy who actually fought against Muhammad Ali, who was picked out of a book, who had pro registry. Yeah. He had a losing pro record, major, but he went all 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali. And that's where the story.
Is that where Sylvester Stallone got that story?
That story about Rocky, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, how
that is cool.
It's actually pretty cool. So, that's kind of like that same thing. You went all three. You went there. You took it to him, and you fought your heart out. So,
dude, I landed a few shots on him, and we were grappling against the ropes. I think I even Might have landed an accidental headbutt on him. So
accidental.
No, it was.
It's a good thing we're wearing headgear.
Yeah, no kidding. No. Honestly, when I look back at it, it was a great experience, and it was my first fight back after 5 years, which I had some great fights following that. So if I would have fought him, I'm not saying I would have won, but if I would have fought him, I think a little bit after a few more fights in South Carolina, I think I would have done better for sure. I think I would have landed a few more shots. But no, it was fun. It was a good experience. It was, to be in a ring with someone who has that many fights in a real fight also, and knowing I held my own, I'm like, okay. Again, you can look at it as, I lost, or, wow, I learned a lot, and it's a confidence booster. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Did you have any other fights out there, or just that one?
No, I had several. So then I fought North Carolina Golden Glove state champ, which I won that fight, and that was a brawl. That was just a battle. It was fight of the night. It was that people play some bets on the fight in between the fight, because it was just, we were scrapping, man. I have that one on video. That's a good one. Then I fought a kid who was young, but man, he was jacked. I don't know how he weighed 152, because he looked like he was about 180. And they told me I didn't have a fight that night. So I was going home. I left the gym or wherever it was at like a convention center in Charleston, and I was going home. And I got home, changed my clothes to my gym clothes. I start wrapping my hands, so I'm gonna go to the boxing gym and go work out. And someone calls and says, "Hey man, you got to fight." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." And they're like, "No, he's a novice turning open." I'm like, "Oh, nice, okay." So I go back all like relaxed, nonchalant. I'm like, "Hey, this should be pretty chill," and it wasn't at all. He brought the hammer, and that was the second concussion I've gotten boxing. He just brought it, and I didn't. My head wasn't there. I went in arrogant because I'm like, he's a novice fighter. I have dozens of fights, and he just brought some heavy hooks, and that was a learning lesson. That's exactly what it was.
We're talking about mentality in boxing right now, and there's your mentality right there.
And then I had then South Carolina Golden Gloves. Entered my name into that, and there was 3 guys at a weight class. The guy that had 240 bouts, he didn't enter his name for some reason, but he didn't fight that year.
Pro?
What was that?
Did he go pro?
I don't think so. Khalid Johnson's his name. I should look him up because he was a great fighter. But no, so there was 3 of us. The 2 guys that fought Friday. One guy, you could tell he's super dehydrated. He was just falling over, like you could tell he had probably cut a lot to fight. Then the guy that won didn't want to fight Saturday night. And so that was my opportunity to fight for the South Carolina Golden Glove Championship, and he didn't want to fight Saturday night. So they said, okay, so who goes on to represent South Carolina? And that's where I went on to represent South Carolina. And I fought in the Southeastern Regionals, where I fought the Golden Glove state champ out of Georgia. And North Carolina didn't put his name in, but I felt confident about that because I had already beat the North Carolina Golden Glove champ at that time. Tennessee lost to Georgia. I fought Georgia the next night and lost in I don't know if it was a split or unanimous decision. It was a pretty close fight though. And
so your regionals, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, and
Georgia. That's a Southeastern
regional.
That
was your regional.
Yeah.
Those not small states. So
no, I know.
Plenty of people.
Yeah. And so, because I know Florida has their own, I'm pretty sure. And there may have been a South Carolina. There may have been a 5th state in there. I can't remember. But anyways.
Yeah, because I think like Florida and California, it's like just their own.
Yes.
They don't have like any regional.
Chicago has their own. Illinois has their own. So anyway, so that was kind of the experience, man. So it was kind of, I was bummed I didn't get a fight for the Golden Glove state championship in South Carolina. I got a cool belt, but I didn't fight for it. But when I fought well against the Atlanta or Georgia Golden Glove state champ, I felt okay about it. I'm like, hey, I held my own on a regional level. That's fantastic, so.
Yeah, and you were doing business in solar throughout this whole thing, right?
Yeah, so I had started a company with a few partners, so I was helping run a company throughout all that. So trying to balance the work-life, married balance, was a lot. So
what brought you back to Utah, and when did you get back here?
Yeah, long story short, just wasn't necessarily happy with the way things were going in the current solar endeavor. And so I sold my equity and then came back to Salt Lake, where my pops was looking to get out of the insurance business and sell his book of business. And it seemed like a great opportunity at the time. So I wanted, and he had a cool setup where, pretty much I'd work as I got more experience, I would do the majority of the work for less commission. That's how I'd buy him out, because I didn't have the money to just buy him out. So it'd be over time, right? But, COVID happened, and, that was 2020. and insurance just wasn't my jam. You know, I didn't love it at all. So I got out of insurance and actually got into the tech world, kind of doing tech sales, and didn't love that either. And what do you know, I kind of circled all the way back to solar. So yeah.
How's that going currently?
It's good, man. It's good. There's some big changes that happened in California earlier this year. So Q1 was the best quarter I've ever had in my life. Into Q2, things slowed down over summer, but they're starting to pick back up again.
Good.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
now,
so
are you
that's good.
doing your own thing right now?
So I work with a buddy of mine in California who I worked with years ago. He started his own company, and it's a pretty cool setup because he'll send me leads, and then I just work them virtually. And then we have a few installers in different parts of the country as well. That kind of, we have our own LLC that we can put with them, because I don't want to step on his toes because he's been good to me, you know. So I keep working with him in California. But they're only in California. So other parts of the country, I have my own thing where I can put deals with, which is nice.
Okay, so for people who are listening and are interested in solar, I'm interested in learning a little bit more about it. Talk to us a little bit more about like what that process looks like. Like, what does it actually benefit? Does it actually save you a bunch of money up front, or is it something that's an investment in the future that you're going to start saving money in? Like talk to me a little bit about solar in itself.
Yeah, it depends on the market. You know, California, you have the most expensive power rates in the country, so people save money right away. Florida, people are kind of break even, save a little bit up front. Northeast, you're seeing more savings. And then different states have different like incentives. So like Illinois has this huge credit right now. So Illinois is actually a pretty good state for solar. But like Utah, Rocky Mountain Power, it's so-so. It's very, the power rates are very low here, so people typically pay more or break even when they go solar. But typically you can finance the system, you go solar, there's no cost out of your pocket, then you have a monthly bill paying off the solar system, which gives you all your energy instead of buying power from the utility company.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
So it's a balance.
Yeah.
Like a trade at first.
Exactly.
And then once you pay off your investment for your solar, then now it's
no more power bill.
No more power bill.
Yeah. Which it's and then there's different programs, because with the financial climate we're in right now as a country, you have very high interest rates, very expensive what they call dealer fees, what the bank charges us to finance these solar systems. So the ownership, it made a lot of sense for a long time, but it's making less and less sense as interest rates continue to go higher. Certain states allow what's called a PPA, it's a power purchase agreement, where a homeowner literally just buys power at a lower rate produced by the solar instead of buying power off the electric company. It's kind of a cool option. So there's no debt incurred, there's no out-of-pocket expense. It's just a bill swap for a less expensive bill from solar instead of to the utility.
That's cool. I would imagine each house would be provided with different panels, like a number of panels.
Yeah.
Or like the area, is it determining the house or the area you're living in?
Consumption.
Okay.
So the home's consumption, because you could have a mansion with 2 people living there and they use 6,000 kilowatt hours a year, where you have a 1,200 square foot house with 10 people that use 20,000 kilowatt hours.
Okay, so just like if you got a house that's got 4 people that have 12 televisions and they're all running all the time, playing video games all the time.
Exactly.
You need a lot of juice.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So it all just depends on the homeowner's usage. So no, I mean, it's we'll see how long I stay in it. I've been in it now, man, 9 years. So, and it's been a very lucrative, good, business to be in, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting called elsewhere. I feel like I'm due for something bigger, So we'll see. I'm gonna be in it for now because it's good and it's fun, but it's like, man, I think there's too many opportunities out there and too many things that I'm more passionate about, that I want to be part of. Yeah.
I love that. Never, that's like the Legends motto is foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah. Touche, man. Touche. Yes.
Love that. So like safety, solar, safe. There's like nothing nothing you got to worry about, like major.
Oh, yeah, very safe. Yeah, I mean, you have to pass like city fire code violations. You got to pass all the permits, all that stuff.
I mean, just like anything you're adding to your house, any addition to your
exactly,
adding, you'd have to go through proper channels to do that. But like,
it's been around, man. I mean, the first photovoltaic cell, if I'm saying that right, was introduced in like 1954. And the efficiency since 1954 has been like 7%, not 70, 7. Because, I mean, the panels are still 5 by 3 feet roughly. And, you have even the panels that produce a little bit more are a little bit bigger because you need the surface area to absorb the sunlight. And so you haven't really seen some crazy advancement in technology in solar. and it's been around for a very long time. So now, you're having these programs and banks that are actually making it financially attractive to homeowners, right?
Well, what about the Tesla energy packs that they have that are now being installed in houses, and they're powering your whole house and stuff like that?
So Tesla Power Walls. No, those are awesome. They're just really expensive. So they're like a backup battery. So if your the grid goes down, you actually have juice. Because most people don't know this, but most people don't have power if the grid goes down. Their systems are grid tied. So any energy they don't use during the day goes back to the grid, and at night the grid will credit you back that power, depending what utility you have. See, that's another big thing why people are, a lot of people say, well, this is the sunniest state in the world. Why don't we do more solar here, whatever state that is? So much politics play into it. Because like a lot of the utilities, they'll say, okay, for every 3 hours of power you give us, we'll give you one back. And so then it's like, well, that doesn't make much sense, So like when you find states like in Illinois or Florida or California was this way up until April of this last year, but where the utility will give you a 1-to-1 kilowatt hour credit, that makes a lot of sense. Right. Because then you don't have to throw a $13,000 battery on the system. Economics line up.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, thanks for that. That was...
You're welcome.
That was a lot. I mean, no, I learned a ton more about solar right now. I love that. So back to boxing. You've gone Damien, you've gone North Carolina, now you're back in Utah, and now you're a current member at My Bountiful location.
I am.
Talk to me a little bit about your Legends journey, kind of what that's been like so far.
Dude, Legends is awesome. I love Legends. The workouts are they're epic, man. They're phenomenal workouts. Emmy's great coach. It's normally her or your classes I take. I mean, all the coaches up there I'm sure are amazing, but I've only taken hers or yours so far. But great coach, great gym. I love the gym. I love the layout. I love the feel of it. Great people that go to the gym. You know what I mean? I held off going into Legends for so long. And I don't know why. I've always, working out with Damien and working out in South Carolina and working out, with Larry. They were always kind of like just old school boxing trainers, old school boxing gyms, kind of that grungy feel, which I kind of liked with boxing. Mm-hmm. And it almost like I thought Legends was too nice to be a good boxing gym. Like this is too high end to be a good boxing gym.
I can see that.
Right. And then when I actually did a workout, I'm like, why have I not been here 2 years ago? What am I doing? So Yes, I've been thrilled to be back a part of it. And just to be, back in touch with you and, just good people, man. It's so much fun. Good. It really is.
Good. I love to hear that. Well, before we run out of time, I appreciate you being here. It's been great catching up.
Thank you.
Great hearing. Talk to me about the importance of wrapping your hands in boxing. How important is that?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like you don't even always do that. But for most people, yes, wrapping their hands do. I mean, especially depending on the quality of glove you have. I mean, you could break knuckles, you could break a wrist, you could really hurt yourself. So the importance of wrapping your hands, man, I feel like that is a game changer. I know when you first start boxing, at least for me, my hands were super sore for like the first 3 weeks, right? But no, when you first start boxing, if you don't wrap your hands properly or at all, and you don't necessarily know what you're doing, if you're new to boxing, you can really hurt yourself. I mean, it could put you out, a long time to break a wrist, right?
Absolutely.
So
I think of it as like shock absorbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Your glove is, your suspension, but like the padding on your hands is the absorption of that shock, right?
Right.
You're pounding away all the time on a bag or a surface or mitts or whatever you're training at the time, and your joints will harden up and get used to that kinds of stuff. But having security around there is the key. So our Legends hand wraps are our gear selection. We've got some new ones. You see the camo ones right here, especially in Utah. You guys, everybody who loves camo. But we've got green in your honor of military. We've got red and blue in honor of firefighter and military or police. Sorry. USA Boxing, and then these lime green ones are actually really cool too. I like these greens. So for those who are part of Legends, hand wrapping is essential, but we wanted to just highlight these new hand wraps. So we have our Peak Performance hand wraps in multiple different colors. You can find those at a local Legends near you, or you can find them on our USA Boxing Gear website. So feel free to jump on. Also, feel free to like, subscribe. Please, it helps us. Show us a comment. Get on our YouTube. If you're not watching, go follow us on YouTube. Show us a comment. Ask a question. Ask Travis a question. Ask me a question. But also follow us on our platforms, Instagram, Facebook, legendsboxing_USA. And you can get all of our up-to-date content no matter what. But Travis, it's been great. Thank you so much for being here, man.
It's been fun, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.